Hi guys, and welcome back to this channel. After 2 months since the last video, it really is time for an update, and I think right now this is the most important video I will make and I made so far, because I think there's a really high probability that we have major tops incoming now in the next few weeks and next few months, also with Bitcoin, the stock market and gold. So I'm expecting a major top being in the process of forming at the moment. And I think there's even a possibility that Bitcoin right now has topped already. And yeah, so today we will look at the macro picture and see if we are really close to the top. And I think the next few weeks is really a really important time to focus. And yeah, so let's get right into it. So the base idea of this channel was with the cycles, the macro cycle of Bitcoin, this index chart, longer term outlook. I think many videos ago we looked at this chart, and the idea was that up until around October, like the end of 2025, we go up into a top for Bitcoin, and then we see the usual 1 year bear market decline to a low also around October, November next year, 2026. So let's see where we are right now. So as you can see, so far it held up almost perfectly, went up the whole time, and now we are closing in on the expected top time frame. And so far the top has been the middle of August with a lower high forming here. And what I've done is a few things. I will show you a few things that give the possibility that the top is in already, and also a few indications that we have one more upside move. But in general, I think we have at the most 1 or 2 months left before it's over and before we get major bear market, not only in crypto but in the stock market, S&P, and also gold. So what I did here is I measured the exact cycle timings. So in the last 2 cycles, as you can see here, we have the time frame how long it took. And basically what I looked at is from low to high in the last bull market, from low to high exactly to the day in the bull market before, and also the complete duration from low to the next low. And what we have above is the exact duration from high to high, high to high. And then I put the lines in here to compare to the last cycles. So basically when we look at the bull market duration from low to high, in the last 2 cycles it was 151 and 152 weeks. And as you can see here, I put in these yellow lines. And if you go to the daily chart, you can see one of the yellow line would be the 24th of October, the other one the 17th of October. So the first bull market was a bit longer, like this duration, the second one this. And if we take the difference of these and we assume that the bull market this time will be shorter, even shorter, like in the same range, then we could maybe expect this one. So around middle of October, if we get something like this, we have like 1 month left, 30 days. So I think it's good to keep that in mind, and it also speaks to that if we get some more upside, I think it will be over quite shortly, a few weeks maximum, and then we likely have some downside. So as you can see, the yellow ones are the last 2 durations of the bull market, and the green one would be if we get a little bit shorter again. So this is the duration time from the last bull month. And if you look at the timing from the top to the top, we had in the first bull run 1479 days, in the second 1424 days, so 55 days less. And if you check here, this red line would be the longer duration, it would be end of November even. And the shorter one, 1424, that was in the last bull run from top to top, would be the red line here. If we zoom in, the red line is the 4th of October, so beginning of October already. And now it gets interesting. If you also subtract the difference, so in the first one was longer, the second one was shorter. If you then subtract 55 from the second duration, you get 1369 days, and that's almost perfectly the top right now. So it would be here, this green line, and we topped like 4 days later. So this is also one reason or one point that speaks to the top being already in. From the duration top to top in the last 2 bull runs, if the pattern continues like this, then this is really close to the patterns in the past. What is also interesting, another point, is on the weekly chart. So far in the past, with the 160 weekly moving average, the red line here, we almost topped pretty much exactly when the moving average crossed the last all-time high. You can see it here, perfect touch, and the other ones before it was a bit earlier, but it was in a like blow-off parabola move, and yeah, it almost marked it perfectly here, and the same goes here with this one. Here all-time high, crossed here, a few weeks later we got the high. Right now it's still a bit lower, so this would speak to a bit of more upside in the coming weeks. But as you can see, you can also mark these time frames with the current patterns and cycles in the past. I would expect that we find a high somewhere in this area, so at the most around end of November, if the high is not in already, which could be a real possibility. And if it's already in, or if we find the high in the next weeks, then it's really time to take profits, to think of your exit strategy, because I don't think you want to be in this downtrend that is really likely coming for Bitcoin, gold, and also the stock market. But here I think it's a huge opportunity to load up and buy commodities, gold, Bitcoin, and also stocks in 1 year time frame after this bear market. Also interesting last piece of information here, if you make a curve of these tops, you get this curve. If you combine the last 3 tops, it would be interesting as a maybe idea for the low. If you combine the first 3 tops, however, you have the blue line here, and that would indicate a price roughly a bit around 200k, a bit below 200k. So maybe I think at the very most, if we get a move up, then at the very most below 200k, I think, before it's over. So far for this general chart, index chart, the timings. As you can see, that's one big confluence that we are really close to a top. So the next chart I want to show you, which is also doesn't look that great, is the Coinbase chart I have here. I combined the tops on the normal chart, not log chart, normal chart, here with this top, first top and the second top. And as you can see here, we actually respect these resistance lines perfectly. You have touches here, we broke out here, and then 2 touches here, rejected, went back here from the downside, rejected again. So maybe it's already breakdown, retest, and resumption to the downside. So also maybe if you want, put these lines in your chart and look at them. I think it's really important resistance. Also generally what I think, my invalidation, the most important level I'm looking at the moment, is the weekly 50 moving average here. This is the white line on the weekly chart, because Bitcoin has never closed below this in a bull market. So if we look at the last 2 or last 3 bull markets, you see with a weekly close below the 50 moving average, the white line, that was definitely bull market over, bear market. Next time around, last bull market, weekly close below, above, and then below again, but multiple weekly closes below. That was the end of the bull market. Here it was just 1 weekly close, and I think it was on top of the 50 moving average, and then a fast reaction to the upside. That was still okay. but this is my line in the sand for right now. So if Bitcoin really closes weeklies below this moving average, then I'm very certain that the bear market has started, and at this point I would sell most or all my positions. Also interesting, the bull market support band, what you can see here. We tested it in the beginning of September, start of August, and are currently also testing it with Bitcoin. So we are inside right now. And if we look in the past two bull markets, we also tested also in the same time frame. So here was like middle of September, start of September, and here again we tested the bull market support band, and then afterwards we still had a massive move to the upside. The same thing happened here in this bull market. Test middle of September, 15th of September, to the bull market support band, but it held as support, and then a strong move to the upside afterwards. So currently this should be a bit of support, bull market support band. If we cannot hold this, we are currently inside of it, then likely the price is going to form a new lower low, and we really need to see that the 50-week moving average holds. So maybe it even goes down here and has another bounce, but I would rather like to see this hold now and get a move back up. So for the bearish side, a few things I want to show you which you won't like to hear, but a few arguments to be made that we have already topped, for Bitcoin at least, is that in the past Bitcoin always had like 4 or 5 angles of support lines. So it got even steeper and steeper, and you have like a parabola move here. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And so far what I found, every time the 5th or the 4th angle broke to the downside, and then the price moved back up to the 0.7 Fibonacci retracement, that was it, that was the top. So breakdown of the final steepest angle, move back to the 0.7, dead cat bounce, and then that was it for the bull market. Exactly the same thing happened in the last one. We have 1, 2, 3 and 4 angles, breakdown of the 4th angle, and as you can see, perfectly exactly to the 0.7 before huge price move to the downside. Last time we had a little higher high, but it was unusual market, because a lot of indicators also fired here for a top signal. So as you can see, as in 2013, really the similar price action. And right now, what are we seeing at the moment? We have 1 line, 2, 3, and as you can see here, the 4th line of support, 4th angle of support. What we have seen is here found resistance at the line connecting the two highs from the last bull runs, and now broke down of this support line, the 4th and maybe even final support line, and we currently moved up here to this resistance, but not quite to the 0.7. So what I think could be the case, that we maybe bounce up here, and that's really then the last bull trap before starting a bear market. Of course, we can, maybe it started already, or we have a few weeks left, but in total I think we are really close to the top. And yeah, this breakdown of this support line and a few other things really show you that the possibility that the top is in is pretty high. I think it's 50-50 actually, that this is the top already being in, or we get a bit higher prices. But in terms of timing, I think at the most 2 months, and then it's over. So what you have to remember is the 50 weekly moving average. That's the line in the sand. You really don't want this to break down. If this breaks down, it speaks a lot that the bear market has started already. So let's look at the shorter term time frame a bit. With the cycle, it's again a bit difficult right now, because we have 2 cycles that could both be in play, like the green ones here and the white ones. Currently I'm thinking maybe the green one already has the low here. So the last dip down here has a low perfectly on the bull market support. But if we go with the white cycles, then it could be that we find another low and probably also a lower low at the start of October. So these are the two possibilities that we have right now. It looks pretty weak. Looks like it might want to find another low here. But we will see. So far this one is still holding, and as long as price is trading above this one, then we can expect that this is the correct count. Also, if we again check the seasonality of the last bull runs, you can see basically after September the performance was really nice. So September is here, end of September, and then for October until April in this case, we got a really strong last quarter of the year, and similar to the last bull run, it was here September and afterwards really strong performance. So basically two options: either the top is in already, or we see a pretty strong move soon for the next few weeks, maybe 2 months, and then the top being in. So keep that in mind. Bitcoin dominance. One thing also to notice, we talked about this breaking down here. First we had a perfect backtest of the Fibs and then broke down this macro trend line. Currently found a low here, and if you quickly look at the past, after September, start of October, we always got big bounces. Also here, 1st of September, slow move up, October, strong move up. So I think generally what we will see now is Bitcoin dominance moving up, at least into the Fibonacci resistance here to complete the correction. So maybe some more weakness for altcoins, and yeah, dominance going back to Bitcoin. I think it's highly likely. Before then, maybe rolling back down and get a fast final altcoin season. One thing that speaks to the top not being in is a few indicators that we have here. So it's a combination of indicators, and we usually always top at around 98, and so far we are still a bit below. But if you, for example, check only the FRE Z-score here, then you can see we are generally pretty close to a top being formed with the indicators. A few things that are a bit strange at the moment, but could be positive, could speak for the positive outcome, is the global liquidity. It goes up by a lot since like a few weeks and months, and Bitcoin is lagging behind. Also gold and stock market are doing really fine, going up like crazy, and Bitcoin is just consolidating. So the question is, will Bitcoin correct the move to the upside, or will the rest, will gold and stocks just move back down to crypto and that's it? Also you can see here, gold tends to run first and then afterwards Bitcoin runs, so that's another argument for one more push to the upside. And if you offset this, like this is offset, first gold then Bitcoin, and if you combine this, it looks to be tracking really closely, and if this still plays out, then we have an argument for one final huge push to the upside, which I hope will happen. Another positive thing we saw last week, a few days ago, 1.5 billion in liquidations, in long liquidations, and that's usually a sign that all the long leverage is flushed out, and that generally happens before big moves to the upside. So these are some positive aspects. So I think it's like 50-50. Maybe the top is already in. Maybe we have one more move to the upside. Definitely keep in mind the 50-week moving average as your line in the sand. Quick look at altcoins. As I told you, I think Bitcoin dominance will go up in the coming weeks, for October at least. So I'm pretty sure that altcoins will just go down for a bit or consolidate a bit, not breaking out until some consolidation, and then maybe later at the end of October we could see a move up to, in altcoins. But so far, if Bitcoin dominance is going up, then I would expect this to either go sideways or further go down if we didn't have topped already. If we topped already, then this could also be the top in altcoins. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, here in Coinbase, if you overlay the market cap of altcoins, the total free market cap, if it works, okay, one second. So daily time frame, total free. If you overlay it, every time we had this break of the fourth angle and then a bull trap to the upside, that's when the altcoin market topped. So altcoin market topped always a few weeks after the Bitcoin high. If you check the last bull market top, that's also what happened here. We had a breakdown of the fourth angle, and then with this backtest of the 0.7, we had the altcoin top peak here. And going back again to this cycle, 2017, exactly the same breakdown of fourth angle, altcoin top, exactly when we had the 0.7 backtest, as you can see here. And yeah, so that speaks to another point, that speaks to the possibility that we have the top already in. So a lot of things pointing to the possibility that we have the top. A few things are still giving hope, but here we have the all-time high for the total free altcoin market, and that's exactly after breakdown, after the move to the upside, close to the 0.7. So that's a thing to keep in mind. But if we really see the liquidity and another push, then we finally, or maybe, have a few weeks and months left. But yeah, in general, total free, maybe it's the top already, also for total free, wouldn't be surprising, or a bit of consolidation before one final move to the upside. Similar thing for Ethereum, that's the only altcoin we will be looking at. I think it's likely that it goes back to the bull market support band. Bitcoin did it already, consolidates here a bit, maybe goes sideways, and it catches up, and then after we backtest this, it has an opportunity to go for one final move to the upside. So far for the crypto and Bitcoin market. It's been a long video already, but really important this time to check everything. Now finally I want to check the stock market in general, and then also gold and silver. So if you just look at the normal chart, you can definitely see, yeah, we have a strong, like, exponential move to the upside, and this will not happen, will not go on forever. And we have also, like, just like in Bitcoin, steeper and steeper angles of support, like you can see here. And generally there's also two possible counts, the green one and the white one. I think I rather like the white one at the moment, which would speak to price going down for this week. Today is Thursday, maybe Thursday, Friday and Monday for a low possible, already moving down. So we likely have a weekly low, like a cycle low here from this white count, before moving up to what I think should or can be the final cycle. So after we find this low in the next 40 days, I think it could be likely that we see the final stock market top, so somewhere before this. This support line I would wait where the low forms and then put it here, and after this low we have the low as a confirmation for failed cycle or downside, or if we move up afterwards, which I expect, then a break of this trend line would signal a high likelihood of the top of the bull market. And then it's really time to exit long positions and start wicks and short positions. Short explanation why I think we are really close to the final top. Firstly, the unemployment rate, of course, steadily keeps going up, and also the data is always corrected a few months after they publish it, and it's always corrected to the downside, so it's worse numbers than they say at first. As you can see, for each recession you have like a round move to the upside, small move up before acceleration to the upside. And yeah, I'm pretty sure we are already in a recession in Germany and also in the US, but it tends to be like put into the charts after it already happens. So probably the Fed will declare the recession backwards and say, yeah, we have already been in a recession. So that's not a good look. Unemployment going to the upside. Another thing to keep in mind here is the high yield credit spreads. In the COVID crash, we had a huge move to the upside, and also 2008. So keep this one in mind. If we see a breakout here, then that speaks to risk off and a move to the downside. Also, one final thing, really important chart, keep this, bookmark this chart. The 10-year yields spread to the 3-month yields. And every time we saw acceleration to the upside after an inversion, we had like a recession and huge downside moves. 2000, 2008, you see, broke up, uninverted, and then the move to the upside basically was the confirmation for downside. Here, the same for COVID, strong move to the upside here, and the COVID move to the downside. And currently, we are hovering at around 0, so it still is okay, but we have a close look at this metric. If we see strong move to the upside, that's a big warning sign, and that speaks to the top being finally in, and I'm expecting a lot of downside. One final thing we looked at a few videos ago, like 4 or 5 months ago, is the stock market as S&P 500 divided by the total money supply, and we can see that it tracks extremely closely to the 2000 dot-com bubble and then the bust afterwards. I think when I first started to draw this in, it was around here, around this crash, and so far we follow it perfectly. And if it's similar, then we have a few weeks left. Maybe we will look at this chart for the upside, and then I think it will play out quite similar to the last time. So the main focus now is to have an eye on the tops, and if we get confirmation for the tops, then my biggest interest is a really big long trade on the VIX. So I think if we get the cycle low now in the next few days, a bit more upside, then hopefully blow off top in the stock market and hopefully also Bitcoin, strong move to the downside in the VIX, and then I will look to get pretty sizable VIX positions for huge moves to the upside, like the COVID crash and also 2008. So that's the general plan. Last but not least, gold, which we nailed so far. Almost every move since half a year is breaking out after this consolidation and held up quite nicely. Also catched up with the bull market support band, and now is having likely also its final move to the upside, blow off top. A lot of hype around gold now, and also always during the final moments of a move to the upside, there's a lot of hype and people are jumping into this. I think so. The 25-day cycle is really consistent in gold. This was the half cycle low. The next time frame would be around the 9th of October. What I expect is basically a move into the cycle low and then a bit more upside. And I will also set this trend line where this cycle low forms. And after this, if we continue to go higher, then I will sell the breakdown of the support line. And also I have some mining stocks, gold mining stocks, since a long time, like 5 years, hold them forever basically. And with this move here, if we break the support line, then I will also exit all my mining positions. Similar thing for silver, it's even more bullish. I also have been bullish on silver, like in every video I think so far, and now we are pushing up. We broke the 786, so it's likely that we have new all-time highs or above $49–50 for silver soon, together with the stock market, the gold blow off top. So here it's a huge cup and handle, and I think we likely get at least over 50, possibly 60, and even around $70 in the coming weeks. And together with gold though, if we get a top, then blow off top finally finishes, then I see it correcting together with gold. So basically maybe a move like this, strong move to the upside, then afterwards going down into the low end of 2026. Alright, so that was my longest video so far, but I think it's the most important, and I hope you found some interesting insights and it helped you to see the two different scenarios that can happen. So I would be really interested if you could tell me in the comments, what do you think? Is the top already in Bitcoin? Do we see a top in the stock market and gold also soon? And yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.